Hey everybody, I'm Andrew Dalton with Gettysburg History, and I'm here with director Bo Brinkman from the new Gettysburg 1863 film. We are so excited about this conversation. We know that millions of you have been looking at the posts we've released, photos, video, all kinds of behind-the-scenes moments from the filming of this new Gettysburg movie. And we're going to get into some of these photos and see what Bo has to say about what he was thinking as things were unfolding over this recent shoot, and kind of getting into his mind and we'll talk about the film and where things are headed in the next few months. I also want to just mention that this film is made possible by our incredible friends at the Dobbin House Tavern here in Gettysburg. We are so grateful for them and what they are doing to make this film possible. And if you haven't already been to the Dobbin House, it is a staple of Gettysburg. You have to go. They are open every day, and I think they have some of the most famous dishes in Gettysburg. And
they do,
so,
yes.
So you'll have to check that out. We love the Dobbin House, and we will be doing some more things at the Dobbin House too in January. So there will be part of this film will be shot there. So maybe Bo, you could just talk about, this is outside the Shriver House. How did you get the idea for this film, and why did you choose the Shriver House as the backdrop?
Good question. I got the idea for the civilian, the point of view from the civilian. That's why a lot of the battle is shot either from the parlor window or the cellar window.
Right.
And because the battle actually happened in front of the Shriver House,
right.
That's why I came to you guys and said, hey, is it possible that we could shoot in this house?
Right.
Because it actually happened in front of that house. That house is witness to it.
Right.
To first day battle.
It is. That gives it an extra quality of authenticity. And we covered the street in dirt, the day before. That was amazing to see the road kind of the way it had appeared at the time of the battle. In this photo here, there was a pre-meeting with your team.
Sure.
Can you talk about kind of who the key individuals are and what their roles are on a movie set?
Sure. That's Barry Strickland. He's my DP, and I've been working with him for over 25, 30 years.
That's awesome.
We're like brothers in film, truly.
And he's easy to pick out with that hat.
With the hat, yeah. Hat and cowboy hat and tennis shoes. Not a lot of people have that garb. But
That's great.
and what I'm doing there is I wanted to do a 500 millimeter lens shot because we had audience behind us.
Right.
We do a 500, it compresses everything, and you don't see any of the audience.
Okay, got it.
And I wanted Lincoln and that's the opening shot of Lincoln.
Right.
And I wanted that's why I'm doing
yeah, we've had some people point out that you're doing a very creative, looks like you're doing a Tai Chi or something.
Right, I'm expressing to Barry what I want it to look like.
Right,
so I wanted everything out of focus because it's a long lens.
Right.
And as the procession gets closer, people start coming into focus, and then we raise up on the crane and do a single of Abraham Lincoln, and he literally goes from out of focus into sharp focus.
That's so cool.
That's how we introduce Abraham Lincoln.
Right. We've got some pictures that I think there's a few more before we get to this. So again, here's Barry and inside the Shriver House in the parlor, which we recently wallpapered for the film, which is so exciting. It looks amazing in there, and probably much closer to how it looked when the Shriver family lived in the house.
Yeah.
Now the film's not based on the Shriver family. It's a fictional family story, but it's still so similar to their experience because you're looking out these same windows that they looked out. So what is this camera rig that you have here? We were really excited when we saw this being constructed inside the parlor.
Well, you put the camera on rails so that you can start in the back and show the room, and then as the battle gets more intense, we go in closer to the window and closer and closer until we're just in the window frame.
That's incredible.
Seeing the action.
That's incredible.
The other thing I did I think 2 pushes and 1 pull. When we went down to the cellar, then we could pull the camera back, right? So we go to the cellar, and we show what's going on, that Hannah and their family is watching through the window.
Right.
And then we're back up here. There's the explosion downstairs, and then we're back up here, and that's at the peak of the battle.
Right.
As we're pushing into the window, there's an explosion.
Yeah.
So we're not in it. We're here. We see the explosion, and we keep pushing through the dust into the window.
That's incredible. That's going to be so fun to see, and I don't think anyone has ever filmed anything related to the town of Gettysburg and the experience of the civilians during the fighting.
No,
So
not to my
that's
knowledge,
going to be
no.
very, very exciting for all of us. So here's a picture from above showing the dirt that covered the street. Have you done this before? I mean, I know the movie Gettysburg.
We did at the Cashtown.
Yeah, at the Cashtown Inn. So
That's
I would
what
imagine.
gave me the idea.
Oh, that's so cool.
You know, I was like, you know, in '92, I believe we covered the road, and they buried the telephone the wires and the electric wires, which are still buried to this day.
Right.
And I was like, wow, you can do those kind of things in cinema.
That's so cool.
And so I thought immediately, I said, you know, it's a smaller footprint. We can do it in front of the Shriver House.
Yeah, it was perfect. And then you had a green screen, which we'll see in a second, set up on the other side. Here's a view just showing the Shriver House with the dirt in front. We were just blown away seeing this I mean, you stand there and you just think that's how, you know, people haven't seen it this way for, you know, more than 100 years.
Yeah.
And I thought your team just did a fantastic job. You know, they turned the parking meters into hitching posts, which was just so creative. So here's the green screen going up. Obviously, you know, this area of town's changed quite a bit, so you can't have buildings that look like they were built in the 1920s, you know, across the street. So this green screen, I think it was 3 segments of like 20 feet
high and then 60 feet long.
That's incredible. That's incredible. So how will that come together with the film? Is it something, you know, have you settled, I guess, on what the view will be for people when they are, you know, looking out?
I'm thinking farmland.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Maybe a farm in the distance. And this is a pretty easy VFX shot to do. It's not going to cost a whole lot of money.
That's good.
As a matter of fact, Dave dropped. Did you see him? He dropped.
Yes, he did drop another picture in it with a surprise. As we'll talk, we've got a little bit on that later.
Okay.
But yeah, the green screen was amazing watching this go up, and they did such a nice job. You know, there was a scaffolding behind it to keep it in place, and you know, the second day was a little windy, and I was impressed by how the green screen wasn't really moving that much. So they attached that thing pretty securely. And again, we're blocking these houses that were not there at the time of the battle. Although, you know, this isn't the Shriver's story, so it's important to mention that, you know, there may have been some houses across the street at the time of the battle. We're not trying to replicate that because this is just, you know, an experience that's universal for all the civilians who lived here. So if people are really caught up in those little details, that's really not what this is about. But you can know and appreciate, I think, the authenticity of the space, and that the fact that when you see these battle scenes and other things happening, they're actually shot on the exact location where these events took place. So
indeed.
Yeah, that's a great photo. Here's another one from above showing the dirt. And for all those people who said that the dirt was going to be too hard to clean up, I challenge you, you should go out and look at it now, and you will not even tell that this happened. It was incredibly done. And within, 24 hours, they had it completely, if not much less, completely back to normal.
And the borough didn't have to do it.
That's right. Yes, that's right.
They were worried that they were going to have to. So they were relieved. I talked to one of the workers. They're like, oh yeah.
Well, I was impressed. Even when there was horse dropping, somebody would run out and get them. Like there was everybody was very, you know, aware of keeping the space as clean as possible and getting it back to normal right after the fact. Here's setting up kind of the first scene that was filmed outside the Shriver House. This is the procession to the National Cemetery. How did you feel about this? Like, you know, this was. You had people on both sides, and then you have Lincoln ride through, obviously. And these are all extras that you had cast, right? Yeah. So what were you doing here as you were kind of walking around talking to the extras and getting ready for the shot?
I was actually placing people, a lot of people. Usually your second AD does that, but because we're shooting only 2 days, we didn't have a second. So I was just placing them for camera. And that's bringing wonderful. some children up to the front.
Yeah, that turned out really beautiful. I think people did a wonderful job of dressing, you know, for the part. And we had a wonderful, one of our volunteers actually, Carol Ann Schmidt, who helped out with.
Carol Ann did a great job.
She approved everybody, right?
Yes,
cleared everybody to go into.
It was wonderful listening to her when we were interviewing all the extras. Because she was just so graceful, the way she handles people, and she's very kind and so knowledgeable. My costumer kept leaning. We were all leaning, and every time she would talk to somebody, we'd be like, oh, you know.
That's great. Yeah, she knows everything about clothing from this period. So I think people will be very impressed when they see the film and the care that you know you went to get everybody looking as good as possible. Here's another shot of the crowd. I love that somebody had a carriage. Was that theirs or was that the?
It was hers.
Oh my gosh.
She texted it to me and said,
so cool.
She showed me 2, I believe, and I said, oh, that one looks great.
Oh, that's just so awesome. I love how excited people got about this. There you are talking to some of the extras, and I think is that Lincoln Pinkerton maybe in the front there? One of our big fans. That's awesome.
There's Lincoln.
And Greta and Bob are there, I think I see.
Yep, Greta.
I see Greta.
And Bob behind her, right?
Yeah, I see. Yeah, and then here you are talking. So this is Chris Jones. So he played a really critical role, I know, with the kind of choreography of what was happening that day.
He really helped out so much.
How do you get everybody? I was so impressed that you had everybody ready to go, like so quickly. You know, how do you get everything where it needs to be, and how do you decide, okay, we are clear to start filming?
Well, a lot of that was our brainchild, Chris Webb.
Yeah.
She wanted everybody to come at staggered times, so that we could get them approved real quick and onto the street. So Chris was very instrumental in organizing that.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. That's just you had them all lined up. It's for those of you who weren't at the set. There's an alley kind of nearby, so you could kind of stage everybody, because obviously the street was open right behind, where people were seated and watching in the little spectator section. So you couldn't necessarily line them all up Baltimore Street. So we had to curved them all around in the alley, and then they came into the shot, and Lincoln rides in, which is just such a cool moment. And I think we have some pictures of Lincoln. Oh, there's Barry on his.
There's Barry the 500.
That's awesome.
Lens.
That's amazing. And there's another person too. I was really interested watching this. Somebody else kind of, and I noticed with hand gestures, he would kind of say a little bit more left, a little bit more right, and then they would physically be moving him, where he wanted
Andrew.
to go. Yeah. Or maybe, yes, I think it was.
Yeah.
That was really, really cool. And then what's going on here? So a lot of people see this, when they see kind of behind the scenes that somebody, is doing that before it starts. But what is the purpose of this, and how does this work?
The clapboard has been used, slate is another word, has been used for over 100 years.
Okay.
Ever since talkie.
Wow.
And what it does is it allows you to sync the film up with the voice, the sound.
Right.
In the old days, when I first started this business, I was I edited my first film on what's called a flatbed or a moviola.
Right.
And you literally you line up the clapboard when it comes down like that.
Right.
Right. So you just frame by frame by frame, and then you lock it.
Right.
And then you get the sound, and you literally run it over the head until you hear the. Then you lock that down, you run it back, and that's how you sync the film up back in the day.
I see. Okay.
So today we still use them because sometimes if the sound isn't in sync with the camera, so now we have digital numbers, but we still use the sticks to line everything up.
And that's why the sound guy's there, because you need to make sure everything is locked. And this guy who did he had this role in every single shot, I think.
Yeah, and he was pulling slate for us that day, Brendan Johnson.
That's awesome.
And he was actually one of our interns with a Gettysburg Christmas.
Oh wow, that's so cool.
And he's just graduated from film school.
Oh wow, I love how you had a lot of young people there. It really warmed my heart to see that, and they were so excited and engaged with every part of this. Behind the scenes, they were helping everywhere, especially when we shot the Gettysburg Address stuff. I noticed they were even in some places behind the cameras, which was really cool.
We would set up the camera for them and then let them stand there and
that's awesome.
Hit the button.
That's awesome. And I should say, too, all of this would not be happening without the great work of the Gettysburg Film Commission, which I know you guys are heavily involved with. And it is so important, to entice and bring people in to make films here. This is the perfect place for it. And without the Film Commission, so much of this wouldn't be possible. And I just think having the young people involved, that's another wonderful way for the Film Commission to tie in.
Yeah, at the Film Commission, we have all of our interns are right out of film school.
That's so cool.
And we're trying to bring more film production into Adams County.
Yeah, that is so important, and it really is the perfect place. Here's another shot of the procession. So you had different reenacting groups involved in the project. I know one was the Liberty Rifles, and you have some others here. I like how they were all you had different styles and different types of uniforms, which is true to what happened in the procession. There were, elements of different kind of, different types of soldiers involved. There was some cavalry there guarding Lincoln during the actual procession. Then you had some infantry and some, and I think they did a wonderful job in these shots.
They truly did, and that's Liberty rifles right there.
Yeah, they were great. I don't think anyone's ever even attempted to do this procession scene, so I'm sure our listeners, viewers know, but the Gettysburg Address, was given on November 19th, 1863, but leading up to it, there was a massive parade through the streets of Gettysburg that Lincoln was part of, and people lined both sides of Baltimore Street, and we actually have original photos showing this, so there was some kind of a guide for how you should set this up.
That's what we used.
Yeah, but I think it just came to life perfectly because it was a tight, area, and just like it would have been, there were mobs of people, and then you have this parade going through the center.
I wish I'd have had at least one dog in the shot, because there were dogs following the procession.
Yeah, that's right, and there's one dog in a photo in 1863 that you can see in the front that I know our historian Tim really loves to point out. There was also a band, and I like too, this is more of a question from me because I was watching, but you had the band do different things in different takes. So you had one where they were silent but kind of pretending to play, and then you had one where they were playing. What was the purpose of kind of doing different versions of that?
Well, so we could put our own music in.
Okay,
the other reason they went silent was because it was spooking the horse.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So
that's amazing.
Yeah. So, but usually, in a scene where you see people dancing, there's no music.
Right. Interesting.
Because they have to talk, right? So they're dancing, and people are acting like they're talking, and in a restaurant scene, the same thing.
That's
people
great.
are acting like they're talking, like.
So that's really, I've seen that in the background, I never thought about that. So people aren't actually, I always thought, what are they talking about? But they might not be talking at all.
Yeah,
so
well, in Last Man Club, we did this big scene where there was a band playing, and there were, and it was so awkward. People were like, and it was okay, we're gonna dance to this song.
Right.
I let them dance for the song, and then we shot the scene in silence, and it's always awkward.
Yeah. That's so cool. That's more movie magic. Here's a couple more shots. There's our good friend John Pinkerton coming in. I think he was wearing Jeff Daniels' uniform from the movie Gettysburg, which he owns.
Yes.
And that's another little carrot for people watching the film. So here's Lincoln. I was so impressed with this guy. I know he came from Illinois. He does this for a living. I thought he just nailed it. And you have him riding through and the people, watching. How did you feel about how this all worked out with him and this scene?
I couldn't have asked for anything better, more.
Yeah.
I mean, it was wonderful. Aside from him being quite a gentleman.
Yeah.
His voice, his look.
Yeah.
He embodied Lincoln, and it was, as my casting director in LA said, it's uncanny.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the whole day, we were all looking at him thinking, this is almost too real. It's just unbelievable.
So cool.
And you can see he has just the attention to detail again is what amazes me. We know he was wearing his hat, his signature, tall hat, and he had white gloves on too. We know that from the account. So just the level of care that went into these small details, I think as historians are really grateful for that because it's so easy to kind of overlook these little things, and to have somebody like you and Chris that you're paying attention to getting it right, I think that's really going to make the movie even better.
3 hours in makeup for him.
Wow.
3 hours.
Wow.
He even had wires pushing his ears out.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
That's incredible. And does he typically go to that length when he does it?
He does.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And I did see, someone showed me his driver's license photo, and he does look totally different from that.
Nothing.
So, that's just fantastic. Another shot of the parade, the procession coming through, really great. And this is kind of showing another interesting element with all the behind the scenes. You have trucks lined up. There's food for the cast. There's props. There's equipment, sound effects. That was really fun for all of us who aren't around movies to see all of that lined up on Baltimore Street. There's another one of Chris showing, talking to the people and getting them ready for the procession. And then there's Barry with the camera. And then we're back inside now. So can you talk a little bit about, you were inside quite a bit in the Shriver House, watching to make sure, you're getting what you want to get in these takes. What is that like? And I think there's a name for this kind of behind the scenes area where the director watches, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, we sit in Video Village.
Yes, that's right.
And we watch the balance in the frame of
Right.
what we want to show. You know,
Right.
sometimes there's a lag between in the first time we did it, there was kind of a lag, but in the parade, so I had to run outside and tighten it up.
Right.
But it's very important to see it on a bigger screen so you can judge what it's going to actually look like.
Right.
And
Right.
so yeah,
That's really incredible. And you typically will do the same kind of scene a few times over, right?
Sure.
To just make sure you're getting
To get it right.
Do you usually get different kind of camera angles on those, or do you keep things, the same way and just sort of, how do you differentiate with the different, takes that you're trying to get?
Well, it's like you go from just you mark it as preferred.
Oh, got
like
it.
if you
Okay.
do, like, say you do 3 takes,
Right.
one of them has to be preferred, so my editor knows which one to use.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
So
fantastic.
that's just marked with your script super.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah, and then interior and exterior. So, on the parade, we did get a little exterior, but mostly interior.
Right, looking out.
Yeah.
It's just so, that's
Yeah.
incredible. I think
And-
people will appreciate that perspective.
Sure, yeah, and the battle as well.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
did get some tight stuff exterior because we wanted to show.
Right.
And then, but most of it is going to be
Right, from the
through the
perspective
window.
of the window. And that's why the green screen's so important too, right? Because you're looking out the window and you got to have something there,
Yeah.
to catch where you've got,
Yeah.
the camera pointed.
Pastorally.
So now we're out at Flores Church Cemetery, which this is actually not the first time a movie was filmed there. During Gettysburg, Sam Elliott rides through the center of the Flores Church Cemetery, and they kind of that's represented as Evergreen Cemetery.
Sure.
And you did the exact same thing here, where this becomes Evergreen Cemetery, the site of the Gettysburg Address. And there was a platform. These are wonderful shots from our good friend Dave Johnson. He, I think, had a drone flying above,
Yes.
so that was pretty cool to see. But here's the gathering, and I know that a platform was constructed similar to the one used by Lincoln. Here you are sitting on the platform. How did you feel when you got out there and saw all the people gathered and the mountains in the background, just like, very similar to how
it was a terrific feeling. I was like, I was so excited to hear him do the address for
Yeah.
one thing.
Yeah.
But you know what? So were the extras.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I didn't want everybody just standing around getting tired. So I got up there and I said, let's do a Q&A. Ask me some questions. And we just had a great little
that's
chat
great.
while we were getting camera ready.
That's fantastic. And I
yeah.
know, I don't know if we have a photo of it, but a little boy came up and I think he recited the Gettysburg
Yes.
Address, right?
He almost got all the way through it.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah.
That's just fantastic.
And the crowd loved it.
Oh, I'm sure they did. Yeah, one funny thing I noticed is I was standing near, I think, Barry when they were, when he was on the big, rig, and they were all saying to each other, please make sure everybody puts their cell phones away.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was such a cool scene and moment for everybody that all the extras were taking, photos
Oh,
and little
yeah.
videos, but you got to make sure, I would imagine if
We
there's
were-
a cell phone, that's just more work for you in post-production,
Yes,
right?
it is. Digitally remove them, Yeah, I was
great.
watching too,
That's
for
great.
wristwatches and
Oh
phones.
yeah,
and-
sure, yeah. And
Air
Lincoln got
conditioners.
touched up a little bit. Here you are talking with Lincoln. I love that. That was just a really cool moment. And you had certain people too that were sort of cast to be the dignitaries who
Sure.
would have been around Lincoln on the platform. I thought that worked out really well. So now we're back in the streets for the afternoon shoot with the battle. You have the battle passing through the town just as it did past the Shriver House in 1863. So we've got a couple different things going on here. I know one of the first scenes you wanted was Union soldiers kind of rushing to the front.
Right.
And so that's what we're looking at here. And you had, I thought it was interesting, a very kind of tight shot. And you followed, horsemen coming through and then infantry running by. How do you come up with kind of how the sequence of like how you're going to, I noticed you and Barry were talking about we're going to follow, something and then it's going to kind of lead into this other, part of the shot.
It's really just thinking cinematically of how to tell the story,
Right.
And efficiently,
Right.
And so, like for instance, I believe you're referring to when the horses went by
Yes.
and we were on the crane.
Yes, that's right. Yep.
Okay,
Yep,
so
right there.
right, we had to introduce Hannah, right?
Okay.
And so when the troops were moving downtown, and she heard the ruckus before the gunfire,
Right.
So I got with Barry. I was like, "What's the best way to do this?" I would like to crane from them up to her.
Right.
Can we do that? And he's like, yeah, we can give it a shot because we didn't have a Technocrane.
Right.
It was way too expensive. So we used our crane,
Okay.
right? Which
Right.
is old school. And so,
So cool.
and actually it was he that came up with, let's go on the horse that'll be easier to follow, and then we can come up to the window.
I see.
That's how we work, man.
So I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So we follow the horse on the crane, and as he passes, we raise up to the window, and she appears in the window.
Okay, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And I know you wanted her to kind of react to be spooked by something.
Right.
And how did you do that?
So I wanted a cut point.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
From exterior to interior, right?
Okay.
So I went in and I said, okay, Hannah, I'm going to make a loud noise behind you. I want you to jump. And on that jump, I can go inside. So we're watching her from the outside.
Right.
And she's, watching the troops. She doesn't know what's going on. And all of a sudden she hears gunfire. And she's like, and when she jumps, we cut, and now we're on the inside looking over her. It's called a dirty over her.
And was that all shot simultaneously? Did you have, because you had something outside shooting with the horses?
Yeah, we had to turn around because you'd see the window in the camera in the window.
Right. So that's incredible.
So once we did that, then
you turned around and got that interior.
And got her.
That's amazing. And Hannah Galloway, right, is the actress who's playing Hannah? Yeah, I'm so impressed with her. She's incredible.
Yeah.
And her name's Hannah, so that's
right? It was meant to be.
Yes, that's fantastic. So then, a little later in the afternoon, we started to film the Union retreat through town. And this is another moment, again, that I don't think has ever been captured in any film. And to do it right there at that spot was amazing. So you have, I know these are some guys from the Liberty Rifles, and you've got a Union line of battle kind of falling back and trying to regroup, but ultimately being pushed back through the streets of Gettysburg further south.
Right.
And I thought this guy did a wonderful job riding in. Here's another shot. Can you talk a little bit about the special effects that were used? So I thought it was amazing seeing kind of explosions, and this is true. I mean, there were cannons in the streets of Gettysburg that were firing down the street. So you had projectiles landing and exploding all around as the Union Army is retreating back to Cemetery Hill.
Brian Merrick did a great job with that because you couldn't do those are mortar hits,
right?
But you couldn't go deep because there's only this much dirt, right? So he had to build these very shallow mortar pans.
Wow.
So they weren't looking like they were sticking out of the ground.
Right.
But he did a great job with the fire coming out along with the.
It's incredible.
The shrapnel.
That's incredible. Right? Yeah, I talked to one of the reenactors, and he said he was not expecting it, and so his fear is actually real in the film. So it might be that guy right there. I'm not sure. Another view here. This, I believe, is a post. This is a photo by Dave Johnson, Gettysburg Images. Check out his website. Incredible guy. This is showing the Union retreat, and I know this is one of the images we posted recently that received almost 2 million views. So people are obviously really excited about the idea that you're portraying this moment in the history of the town. Although we did get a lot of criticism that I am standing next to our good friend Jackie White from the Dobbin House Tavern and Nancy, who founded the Shriver House, and it almost looks like we're going to be in the movie. Maybe you could make sure everybody knows that is not going to be in the film, unfortunately.
Yes, because that was, we had 2 cameras on that.
Right.
One was in the cellar.
Right.
And one was in the window.
Right.
So anybody standing against the wall is not going to be
There you go. Thank you. And for everybody who's really upset about that, there's your answer. Another incredible action shot of the Liberty Rifles portraying a Union unit, possibly from the 11th Corps. We've got elements of the Union 1st Corps and 11th Corps, and they're rushing back through the streets of town exactly like what you see here. And we know that people were killed in the streets, that, as I said, cannons were fired in the streets. There's just absolute chaos, and the families are, for the most part, sheltering in their cellars, which you will show in the film. Here's another explosion, just really incredible stuff. So in this photograph, you actually brought a cannon into the street and fired it. I thought that was really amazing. How did that all come about? And we know there were cannons fired actually just about a block away on Baltimore Street. Yes. So this is real.
Yes. And actually, we were warned that years ago they fired a cannon in the street that broke out a bunch of windows in the homes. And I'm like, well, it's not gonna be that big of a load,
That's great. Well, I thought it was perfect. And you have, I love the way that you crafted this, because you have basically a Union battery kind of withdrawing, trying to get the cannon, out, trying to decide whether there's still time to fire.
Yes.
And then you have them kind of knocked out, and the Confederates come, turn the cannon around. I love that. That's such a cool idea.
And that happened a lot.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
So I thought it was, I worked that out with Chris Jones.
Right.
Chris said, why don't they like plunge it and then they see that they don't have time to even,
Right.
and they just abandon it.
Right.
And then the Rebs come up and turn the cannon around.
Right.
And so I wanted to have that experience
Yeah.
through the window of the Shriver House.
Right, right. Oh, I can't wait to see how that looks from inside the house. And again, that's something that the family there could have actually seen. I mean, that to me is what blows me away with the whole story here. Here's another view looking, kind of showing the Confederates, and it was getting to be a little bit darker by the time this wrapped up, which is actually exactly right for the storyline. So I'm not sure from the inside how much that's going to come through, but I loved that this continued into the early evening.
Into the early evening, exactly.
Yeah, that's a great picture. There's more green screen. You also set up a little green screen on the other side. Was there a little bit of shooting that would have captured kind of
the house?
Right next to the Shriver House.
At the time there was a vacant lot there.
Yes, exactly.
So I didn't want that house. Plus, the house wasn't 1860s.
That's right. Yeah. That's great. So just look at all the care that's being taken to get this right. This is, this is just phenomenal. Here again, we're inside. So this is that scene that we were talking about earlier, where you have, I believe, a reaction from Hannah, who's the protagonist, and her, kind of then going down to the cellar, right, with her family.
Right. And so now, since we didn't have the mother and the two other daughters, right, who originally in the script come to the window, right?
Right.
But since Hannah's the lead, I changed it, to her in the window. And what we did in this shot was her mother calls out to her and she turns away from the camera is inside.
Got it.
Moving towards her. She turns and wipes the screen with her dress as the camera goes into the more battle.
Wow.
And so when we do the rest of that scene, we'll have the daughters in the room and the mother, and she yells, girls, into the cellar.
Wow.
So I wanted that motion.
I see.
Before,
to transition into them
transition.
Going down. And this is, I believe, Andrew Olson, right? He was one of the. He was wonderful.
We've been working together for a long time.
Yeah, he was great.
He's a great guy.
That was fun. It was so fun to watch your team kind of interact. They were having a great time in there.
And the fun thing is that they interacted with Pennsylvania crew as well.
Yeah.
And like Jeremiah, I was on the phone with him the other day, and he said, I so much enjoyed working with your guys. They're all solid.
Yeah.
He said, I don't always say that because a lot of times they're, a little uppity if they're from the West Coast and all that. And he said, they were great. And I said, I'm so glad to hear that.
Yeah, it seemed like everybody understood. I wish I had maybe even said this at the time, but it seemed like everybody really understood how remarkable this was. That it's not just like filming a movie somewhere on a fake set somewhere. That this has never been done. It's real. I mean, somebody was in that window looking out there and seeing that. So.
Everybody on the set knew we were doing something special because of the history.
Yeah, just absolutely incredible. And we hope, people will continue to visit the Shriver House too, and you can see where all of this took place. Here's a great shot of Hannah. And you guys, I guess, are talking about the scene and what you want out of that. That's just great. And I loved the wardrobe. They did such a nice job with all of her stuff. And there she is, again, looking out the window. Okay, this is going to be fun to talk about. So a lot of people thought that you guys shattered our windows at the museum. And I regret now posting something saying, look at this battle damage, because people were like, how could this have happened? Like, how did you, how
did you allow this to happen?
We even had a board member who said, did you break the, windows at the Shriver House? And I said, no. It was all fake. So
there was no glass harm during filming.
There you go. That's great. Although, you brought in something called sugar glass, right?
Yes.
And I know this because Jeremiah demonstrated it to me by hitting me over the head with it, to show how it shatters. It did not actually shatter when he did that, but that's okay. He ripped it apart and showed me. But we got that. Maybe we'll put that clip in. But anyway, you've got the sugar glass in the window, and you're also setting up a mortar outside. And we'll have to have people see the movie to see how this scene turned out, because I've seen a little bit of both sides of it and it looks amazing. But you have this kind of to represent the explosion, and then you also have some things set up to blow the window up, right? There's kind of a combination of special effects.
Right, air cannon. which pushes in debris and stuff through the window.
Wow. Okay.
And then at the same time, the mortar goes off, and then we had that ball hanging in the air.
Yeah.
Electronically, it goes off and just goes.
Oh, wow, that's incredible.
So, yeah.
That's incredible. There's so many moving parts to that. It's amazing. Here again are the pictures that we put up that people thought we had shattered the glass in the Shriver House window. But nope, that is all. It's all fake glass, and you can just touch it and it'll, burst apart.
Yeah. Hard to cut yourself on that stuff.
Yeah, right. It's
great. Expensive.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
It's
I know
ridiculous.
Jeremiah Hornbaker, who's the prop master, right? Is that production designer? He was talking about how delicate this is, and that you got to be very careful. I know they put it in really carefully because they didn't want to have it break too soon. But it just turned out beautifully, and I can't wait to see people's reaction to that, seeing the window explode. Yeah. And how, just going back once more, how does it actually explode? Were there was something set up on the window pane, right? That caused the kind of explosion.
They put squibs in the window pane for them to just go off and shatter everything.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because the air cannon wouldn't do it by itself.
Right. And you had to time all of that. So you have all these things just to get this one little thing, and then you also have all the soldiers going by at the same time.
Yes.
So pulling all of that off simultaneously, and especially when it's late in the day and you've done a whole day's worth of shooting, that must have been pretty nerve-wracking.
It has to go down like clockwork.
It
truly does.
Because you can't break that window twice. So.
No. And we had backups, but we just didn't have time to do it because it takes so much time to take those window frames out, put them back in.
Yeah.
And we got what we needed.
Yeah. I can't wait for people to see it. It's going to be incredible. So then, jumping forward a little bit, the last shoot was on Sunday, and you did some aftermath scenes and some transitions of kind of the cleanup outside the house. You had some props in the street. I love this because there actually were things like this that were taken out in the street. There was a barricade of people's furniture that the Confederates had set up not far from the Shriver House.
Right.
So this is so true to the history.
Yeah.
How did you shoot these scenes? Is it mostly from the window looking out? Is there a little bit kind of showing the smoke and
the aftermath scene? It's actually so much more. This must have been taken when
let me go.
Up.
I'll go through a few more.
Yeah. The aftermath scene. We shot mainly from the. I think we just shot from the window. Although I see a camera right there.
That's right. I think there was a camera inside the bottom of the green screen.
That's right.
For a little bit of a perspective
that's right.
back.
Because we first did a shot of just the aftermath.
Right.
Then we did a shot of, we cleared lanes through the debris.
And you have people going back and forth. Here's the lane, the opening.
Right. And so we had another camera. We may have had two cameras on this side shooting this way, one low and one high, just to show movement of the wagons. Like the town is beginning to, clean up now. Right.
Yeah. And here's another, that's a great shot showing the smoke.
Yeah.
I loved that there was a guy whose job it was to just go around and put a lot of smoke out.
Yeah.
And sometimes the smoke would move real fast if the wind was blowing, and he'd have to run around again and do it again. That was pretty cool to watch. And then some of it is actually like piles that they were lighting, right? That would cause kind of a continuous smoke.
Yeah,
I thought that was really neat.
I don't know what that is that they use.
That was really cool.
It lasts for a while, and the set looks like it's smoldering.
Yeah.
So it's like after the battle.
It's just perfect. It was great. And of course, this is, I'm sure, very similar to how it looked on July 4th, July 5th, right after the battle. You've got, just enormous amounts of debris. You have wounded soldiers everywhere. You've got dead soldiers. You have, bodies being moved back and forth from hospitals to burial sites. Again, here is a scene showing bodies being moved by burial crews back and forth through the town, which is great. And one of the individuals involved with that was Basil Biggs, a local black resident, black veterinarian here in Gettysburg, and he's going to be a character in this film, which again, that ties so directly to the history. I love it. There's another. I know getting the horses to pass each other was challenging because there's not a lot of room there, but you do have, I guess, one wagon goes through and then another goes through right after it.
Right.
That was really cool.
It was challenging. It took time. It took a lot more time than we had expected.
Right. Yeah, and this was kind of right at the tail end of the filming too. And then the last few scenes were kind of over the passage of time through, the fall and into winter. So you actually had leaves being blown into the scene, and then you have snow being blown into the scene, which I thought was really, really neat, and some extras, moving back and forth.
Yeah,
that was great.
I have not seen that yet. I don't think the leaves came out like I wanted. So Chris and I went to the park and we took some beautiful leaves, colored yellow. These were all brown.
Oh yeah, right.
So we got yellow and red and some greenish blue reds and all that. And what I'm going to do is when I go back to Houston, Barry and I are going to do on a green screen just a few leaves, not blowing, but just
because you have that in the background anyway, so you can just get that and then put that. That's amazing.
Yeah, and we'll do a layer. It's called,
Interesting.
We'll do a VFX layer. We'll shoot the leaves just falling gently through the window.
Incredible. That's incredible.
Then we'll put it in there, and
there you go. That's the Hollywood magic of like stitching little things together from different times to get what you need there. And then this actually was the last part that was filmed. This is a scene that was filmed showing a Confederate camp, and we won't give away too much of the plot of the film, but you have the lead male actor who was just amazing, Eric Nelson, and he plays kind of the main love interest. What was it like having him there? He's famous from being in 1883. He's been in some other incredible projects.
Well, I worked with him on a film in 2022. Oh, wow. Hannah by Nightfall. Okay. And the funny thing is my production designer, who I've been working with for 10, 15 years, calls me and she goes, I can't crew up. I don't know what to do. Would you consider coming in and working for me? And I'm like, well, yeah, sure. And she said, well, that's not going to be a problem. I'm always working for you. I mean, you're my boss. I'm going to be your boss. And I'm very demanding, Bo. I said, I don't care. I don't have an ego. Of course I'll help you out. So I worked there, and the director looked me up on IMDb and said, hey, you know what? I didn't realize you were an actor. And Michelle was responsible for throwing me under the bus there. And so I ended up doing a scene with
that's great.
With Eric.
Oh, that's great.
But I watched him from the art department perspective, and I just thought he was a terrific actor. Yeah. And out of everybody, he was just so natural and really right on.
The nicest guy too, just unbelievably kind.
And a very good humble guy to work with. And so he was my first choice. I mean, when I started thinking about casting, I'm like, oh, if Eric Nelson is available, let's hire him. He's great.
That's just phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm happy to have him.
And you'll have to wait and see what's going on here. But this is a really interesting scene, and it was filmed at the Daniel Lady Farm. They did a wonderful job. You can see some tents, and you have I think the makeup artist is working on Eric right there to get him to a state where it fits the scene. Yes.
Right.
And then, maybe we'll play this little clip in the video, but I know, Bo, this was very late and you wanted to make sure that the rain machine was working. And so you came out from the tent to ask, hey, where's the rain? And they had just hit the button right before you popped your head out. So you went back in, but that was pretty cool. So you had rain and lightning, and all of it created for that, for that moment.
Sure.
That was really great. And the fire department too, right? Gettysburg and Barlow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Gettysburg and Barlow.
Thank you so much for the fire departments. We couldn't have done it without you guys, and
that's amazing.
We owe you big time. Tickets to the premiere.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Yep. Yep. And we'd love to have you come to the museums too. Art museums. We'll make sure we make that happen. Okay, we got to end with this. This is perhaps of all the buzz that was generated by the filming. There was no photo that people did not notice. One thing in the background, and that is a window air conditioning unit in the house next to the Shriver House. So we have circled it here for people to see. Can you put to rest once and for all that this air conditioner will not appear in the film? And what do you think about this whole hullabaloo?
First of all, I love it. I love it. I love the memes. Even my son did a meme and sent it in. It's so much fun.
That's great.
And we green screened that house, the portion that and we didn't shoot this way.
Right.
We did have a camera going this way, and this way the angles
Right.
towards the home, but nothing that would show the house. And if it did, the green screen would be there.
Right.
So
Right.
this air conditioner was never photographed once during the filming of Gettysburg 1863.
There you go. There you have it, everyone. It was photographed many times by people who were watching the filming
from a different
but
angle.
it was not in the shot.
But I love it. And the owner put it on eBay.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
Yeah, and
that's
I
amazing.
drove by yesterday, and it is not in the window anymore.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, I'm glad that the owner was able to get something out of it. I did not know that. That's fantastic.
Yeah,
I wish we had jumped on that sooner. We could have had it in our museum. But that air conditioner, I know this movie's going to be so successful, that air conditioner is going to become a prized possession of somebody.
Right?
And maybe it'll pop up in another place
I think we
somewhere.
need to do T-shirts.
I think that's a great idea, actually.
Yeah.
I think that's great. Yep. And our friend Dave Johnson made a wonderful artificial image of what the green screen would look like with a farm in the background.
That's
and you'll
true.
notice he has an air conditioner in the window, which just is perfect. So, anyway, this is all so wonderful. Can you talk a little bit about? Last question is when. The film is expected to be released, how people can stay involved. I'll make a quick plug that you're going to see a lot of content about this project on the Gettysburg Film Commission Facebook page, website, the Dobbin House Tavern Facebook page and website, and Gettysburg History's Facebook page and website. So you can definitely stay in the loop there. But what's the plan for the film and when people may be able to see it?
Our goal is Remembrance Day.
That's just great. Next year, 2026.
Next year, 2026, celebration for the whole nation.
Wow.
And on Remembrance Day, I'm got my fingers crossed that we can do that.
Right.
I can't say yes or no yet, but we're going for it.
Right.
And so then you'll be able to see it in theaters.
That is just
soon after.
That is fantastic. I have to say, this is just such a complex and an impressive process, and we are so grateful that Bo and Chris and the Gettysburg Film Commission are
Ken Schwenker as well.
Yes, and Ken Schwenker and so many other people are making all these projects possible. This is going to be a phenomenal film. We can't wait for you to see it. We are so proud that the Shriver House Museum is a focal point and a backdrop for this story.
Me too.
I think you wrote an incredible narrative of a family and how they dealt with the battle and its aftermath, and the personal stories and the love that was created, that was interrupted by war. That's exactly how the Shriver family experienced the Civil War. That George Shriver went off, he fought, and was captured and died at Andersonville Prison.
Yeah.
You have so many stories like that where it didn't end, with a reunion. You have others where people were able to come home and survive, and this story is just perfect for this moment. And I'm impressed and grateful and excited for where we're headed. So thank you, Bo, for
Thank you,
doing
Andrew.
this today.
I appreciate you as well. Thank
bet.
you.
Thanks.